पहले मीटिंग दिखा था हो गया ना।
All right, so I think we should get started. Good morning to all of you and good morning to Dhiren. So let me introduce our today's speaker. So it is my great pleasure to introduce my old friend Dhiren Sinha, who is presently working in Google, California as a software engineering manager. And in his leading, I believe, team of more than 25 software managers. So Dhiren received his B.Tech degree in mechanical engineering from IIT Guwahati. And then he did his master degree in robotics from Texas A&M University. And he has more than 20 years of experience working with world-leading software companies such as Oracle and Cisco, Yahoo. These are very big companies. So he has already granted 2 patents on internet and site innovation, and he has already worked with few startups. So I think he's the best person to talk about this. And this event will be broadcast live on YouTube. So please make sure to leave comment if you have any question. So without wasting much time, I request Dhiren to start. So today he's going to talk about the topic how to start a startup from idea to company. So Dhiren, please. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Somesh. It's great to be here. And my name is Dhirendra Sinha. I have been working at different startups. Currently, I'm working at Google as a software engineering manager. I'll talk a little bit about myself also, but let's get started here. So I'm going to talk about how to start a startup, take it from an idea to a company. So first of all, I want to extend some gratitude over here to the Central University of Punjab Research and Development Foundation, the Department of Microbiology, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Raghavendra Tiwari sir, Professor Ramkrishna Vusirika, the Dean in Charge Academic, Professor Somesh Baranwal, very good friend of mine, 20 years back we met for the first time, and all the respected professors and all the students and other attendees attending it from different places. Great. A little bit about me. Somesh already talked about me, so I'm not going to read all this, but very quickly just wanted to talk about the startup experience I've had. I've worked at a few early stage and late stage startups in my career. I am a strategic and technical advisor at several startups as of now, and I'm a founding partner of an accelerator firm as well, where we help startups in their journey from end to end. And some miscellaneous things about me. I teach a few courses and help the broader community, not as a professor, but just on Google Meet, I just teach students. And I'm currently writing a book on software system design. And in spare time, I like to paint, cook, and play with my kids. Cool. So before I begin, I wanted to tell a quick story about me. So I remember when I was in 4th grade, this was my first ever sort of talk or a presentation. And I just want to remember that I was asked to talk on a topic from the stage when I was in school in Pune, in the Kendriya Vidyalaya where I did my schooling. And I was given a topic. I went on the stage and I completely froze there. I did not know why I was there. For half a minute at least, I stood there looking at everyone. I had no clue what I want to speak on. But later I gained some confidence and spoke about the topic. I prepared the topic for, I think it was 5 minutes. I completed in 2 minutes and did not know who to call next. I was so nervous. So it was then, and so many years later, I'm speaking in front of you. So I've given a lot of talks before, but I just always remember that, 10-year-old kid, how I was feeling then. Cool. So I want to put a disclaimer out there that I don't claim to be an expert in this area, but I am a lifelong learner. But also I've worked at few startups and served as a strategic and technical advisors in many startups and helped them grow from idea to seed to Series A, as I was telling. So I'm sharing my thoughts with all of my experience and just want to put it out there that what I share, please take it with a grain of salt, but hopefully you'll get some good value out of what I'm going to talk about, right? Because everybody's journey is different. So that will be helpful. Also, as a founding partner of this accelerator firm, I talk to a lot of startups on weekly basis, right? So it has given me much richer experience. So hopefully, I'm able to impact all of you with my knowledge here. All right, cool. So what is today's agenda? I'm going to talk about these 10 questions, right? What is a startup? Why to start a startup? Can you be a founder? Who are your other partners? When to start a startup? Which idea is a good idea to pursue? Where to start a startup location wise? And the meat of the question is how to start a startup? What do you do when you fail? And what is the eventuality? Where do we go? What is the end? When does it end? And then I'll wrap up with some founder stories and give you some next steps, and then we'll open up for Q&A. Cool. So what is a startup? Let's explore what is a startup. Right? It's a newly established business, any kind of business, with the primary goal of developing a unique product or service and bringing that to the market. It's very different than an established company or a traditional business in that sense. Right? What are some key characteristics of a startup? Right? You have a big company, a small company, a startup, traditional business. There are a lot of things. So what are some key characteristics of a startup? What would you call a startup? Here are following key characteristics. Innovation. The startup is all about new products, new services, or a business model bringing innovation into the market. Right? High growth potential. So it aims to capture a significant market share in the world. Right? That is a startup. Entrepreneurial culture. It's very dynamic in nature. So it calls for a lot of creativity, flexibility, and a willingness to take risks. Risk and uncertainty. So there are some downsides also, right? For a startup. Startup is not all rosy. So there are some downsides also. There are some limitations. There are some risks. So risk and uncertainty lies in the fact that success is not guaranteed here. 95% of the startups fail due to many reasons, and we'll touch upon many of those reasons today. Limited resources. There are limitations. There is a small team which you need to build the startup with. Limited financial and other resources are there. So you need to work with that limited resources. Market disruption is another characteristic of startup. Right? It aims to disrupt existing markets or industries. Adaptability. Now it's very important. You need to adapt and respond to changing market conditions. You may pivot. Your business model based on the feedback and the market dynamics changing. You need to pivot from what you started with to another business. Right? So basically, in summary, startup is like a new baby, full of energy, excitement, and potential to change the world. That is what I call a startup. Right? Now let's come to the second question, which is why to start a startup? Very important question, right? Before even we delve into how to start a startup, let's understand why to start a startup. And there are some wrong reasons and there are some right reasons to start a startup. What are some wrong reasons to start a startup? Chasing trends, right? Without a genuine interest or industry understanding, if you just change trends, it's not worth it. Right? Some people are after quick money, expecting immediate wealth. Immediately, will become a millionaire in a couple of years, right? Those are not right expectations. Escaping employment, that's another thing, that you hate your job and you think that this is a quick way out. So let's do the startup. Or you have a peer pressure, right? Because other of your friends are doing it. So you feel the pressure that I should also do it. Expecting startup will be easy. Expecting that the startup is easier than any traditional job is again a wrong expectation. It's much harder in that way. Copying others, other ideas, merely copying a successful idea without adding genuine value or differentiation is not good. It will not help, right? So, what's the summary? Don't start it for the sake of doing so, right? Just for the heck of it. Don't do that. It's not good. Let's talk about what are the right reasons to start a startup. You are really passionate, genuinely passionate about the idea, the problem space, right? Problem solving. So you identified a real problem in the market and you want to solve it really. You're driven to solve it, right? You want to chase innovation. So strong desire to bring new ideas, products or services to the market. You have a strong desire to do so. Or you are focused about your personal growth. You want to challenge yourself, learn new skills and experience a personal growth. Right? That may be your reason. Or you want to have a social impact. You really want to make a positive impact on the society or the environment. Let's talk about autonomy. Seeking independence and autonomy in decision making to move the needle very fast. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I want to do this, but then there is so much of bureaucratic layer, I'm not able to proceed further. So maybe you are chasing autonomy, which is fine. Market demand. Maybe there is a clear demand for your product or service, which can be a very good reason to start this particular startup. Or financial opportunity, the potential for financial success. This shouldn't be the sole reason or sole motivator to start a startup, but it can be a good reason that, okay, I want to have a big financial gain, so I want to start a startup, but it has to be tied with a lot of other things. So it should never be a sole motivator. So in summary, only if you're consumed or compelled by a particular problem and you think startup is the only way to solve it, then you should start a startup. Yeah. So now let's talk about the third question, which is, can you be a founder? Right? Sure, startups are good, but can I be a founder? Right? Let's talk about some of the qualities here, which is very important to be a successful founder. You need to have deep passion for your business idea or the industry or the problem you're trying to solve. Right? That is very, very paramount. Second, resilience and adaptability, right? You need to be resilient and adaptable, bounce back from the setbacks and learn from it. Persist in the face of challenges. Be flexible. Be able to adapt approaches based on feedback and circumstances. The startup's journey calls for these qualities. You're self-motivated. You're internally motivated and stay focused on your goals. You have risk tolerance. You're comfortable with the level of risk and uncertainty with the entrepreneurship model. Leadership goes without saying, right? You've got to have leadership. You are able to take initiative, can inspire, build and lead the team even in times of ambiguity. You need to have a strong vision, have a clear vision for your business and can communicate it effectively to others. It is one thing to have a vision, but then if you are able to lead a lot of people and communicate that to others and lead the entire team towards that, that's a big skill. Decision making, be able to take hard calls, drive consensus, resolve conflicts, agree to disagree and move on. That's very important. Problem solving, enjoy, solving complex problems and see challenges as opportunities, not as roadblocks. If you have that thinking, you can be a good founder. Networking skills, building and leveraging a network of mentors, advisors, and other collaborators. That's a very important skill to have. Financial literacy. It is not to say that you have to be a financial guru, but you need to understand basic financial concepts applicable to managing a business, a startup, right? You need to be aware of that. Customer focus. You prioritize understanding and meeting the needs of your customers. So in summary, a lot of these qualities can be cultivated and complemented by other co-founders. You need not have all. If you don't have all, that's fine, but you need to choose your team, your co-founder, your board of advisors who complement. If you lack in one or two of these qualities, that's fine, but you need to have some good amount of these qualities to be able to be a successful founder. All right, let's move to the fourth question, which we said, who are your partners? We already hinted there that there can be co-founders. So let's talk about who are your partners here. Co-founders. You need not do it alone, right? You can actually seek complementary skills. People can bring in more expertise, different expertise than yours, and resources to the startup, right? So you can definitely work with co-founders. Those are your partners. Second, investors. You need money to grow your business. So venture capitalists, angel investors, friends and family, they can all become your financial partners. Those are investors. Then advisors. These are industry experts, subject matter experts in the world. They provide guidance, mentorship, and connections. Strategic partners. Now, these are entities and companies or services who collaborate with your startup to achieve common goals. Of course, customers, right? Customers, they offer the feedback, loyalty, and support, contributing to the growth and sustainability of a business. Employees, we generally don't consider employees as partners, but employees are definitely great partners. They contribute their skills and efforts to help the company grow. Accelerators. So accelerators provide resources, platform, mentorship, and overall end-to-end support, right? Where a startup can thrive. Board of directors. As a startup grows, you may establish a board of directors, and they may constitute of all these investors, advisors, mentors. They can be your board of directors, successful people, right? So in summary, you don't have to do it alone, but you can choose. But it's important to choose your partners wisely. Sometimes it is, you feel like somebody can be a good advisor, and you just talk to them and give them some equity and have them as an advisor, but they are not helping as much. So you need to make sure that they have skin in the game. They are invested. They have probably put in some money or something, right? In the venture also, they have skin in the game. That's very important. So these are your partners, right? Okay, let's talk about when to start a startup. Right, all this is good. What is the timing? How do I make sure that I am ready, that I can start the startup now? Experience. Do you possess, or can you assemble the necessary skills to execute your business plan, execute your startup? If not, then you will struggle through it, right? So it's a good idea to sort of think about it. Do you bring the experience, or can you assemble different people who have the relevant experience? You have the financial preparedness. This is another one where you need to understand, do you have a financial cushion to support yourself initially? At least the initial couple of years, you may not have a lot of money coming in from the startup. The company may not have revenue generation done already. So then you need to make sure that you have that cushion. Third one, network. Do you have access to a supportive network of mentors, advisors, and partners? Right? That is something which you want to build before you get started in a startup. Life stage, right? You may have different family responsibilities, young kids, health issues, aging parents, your own age, a lot of different things can be there. So you need to consider. It doesn't mean that it should stop you, but you need to evaluate that properly, right? You need to balance it out. What's your risk tolerance? Are you comfortable with the inherent risks associated with the entrepreneurship path? That's an important question. Market trends. Does the business idea align with the current market trends and the consumer behaviors? Do you see that happening? Competitive landscape, right? Have you identified a unique value proposition for your startup against the competition? What's your moat? What's your unfair advantage that you will succeed? If you have those carved out, it's a good time to start a startup. Now, summary, you shouldn't be in a hurry to start, but at the same time, don't wait for all the lights to be green before you start, right? Don't have to have everything done and then only you start. Then you will probably never start. So that's also not a good idea. So take a call, right? When you're ready, you feel like, okay, I have enough, I should get started. That's a good time to start. Okay, let's talk about what's a good idea. Which idea should you pursue, right? Among a lot of other ideas which you may be getting when you brainstorm and you feel like, hey, this is a good space to be in. This is a good profitable. There are different kind of signals you might be getting. You might get your own thought, or you might be talking to somebody, talking to a customer, talking to some of your friend, family, and you do see a problem in life and you want to solve it, right? So let's talk about how do you evaluate a good idea? Here are some guidelines, right? One is problem solution fit. So, do you effectively address a real and significant problem in the market? Is the problem real? If the problem is not real, like it's very trivial, or only you face the problem and nobody else in the entire world face it, then it's not even a problem. Right? So you need to think about it. Addressable market. Does this problem have a large addressable market? Meaning, can you generate a huge amount of income through this? Is the addressable market huge? The market itself is huge or not? Or it's a very, very, if it's a very narrow or a very niche market of very limited amount of upside, then you might be really doing a lot of, the ROI is going to be very less, right? You're going to put a lot of effort, but then at the end of the day, you may not make a lot of money, not because you are not hardworking or you don't have the smarts, but just because the market of this thing itself is very small, right? So you don't want to chase that market. Moat, as we talked earlier, what makes your solution unique and compelling? What is that unfair advantage? Or the other way is, what is a barrier for other people to enter the same market? Is the barrier to entry very low? Then anybody can quickly start and become your competition. So your barrier to entry should be high, right? Should be difficult for other people to get in the same business. And you should have some advantage. It could be first mover advantage, like you started the company first. Nobody was thinking about that idea. You started it. Or like Uber and Lyft, right? If you talk about Ola in India, there are a lot of companies, but Uber started this concept first. And they have a competitive advantage that way, right? So some sort of advantage. And it doesn't have to be always first mover advantage. Sometimes first mover can be a disadvantage because a lot of learnings can come out of that and somebody else can copy and enter in the market and they may grab a bigger market share, right? So it depends, but you need to constantly figure out what's your strong moat, what's your competitive advantage. Let's talk about target audience. Does this idea have a specific and well-defined target audience? Who are your customers? Is that well-defined? That's very important. Scalability. Can this idea scale and grow over time? Is that idea scalable or is it like a limited potential, right? That's very important. Monetization strategy. Is this idea monetizable? Will somebody pay money for the service? If not, then what are you doing? I mean, if you're doing social service, that can be a startup, but you need to have a clear expectation, right? But if you're doing it for money, then you need to know what are the revenue streams. How will you market it? How will you get money back? How will customers pay for it? Feasibility. Feasibility is another thing. Is your idea technically or operationally feasible? Or is it very impractical, very theoretical, right? Passion and commitment. So bottom line, what happens is, are you passionate about this idea or not? Does it do you sleep in night, right? Does it keep you awake thinking about this problem? Are you passionate and committed to solve this problem? If those are the things, if most of these requirements are met, it's a good idea to pursue. Right? And this is by no means a comprehensive list, but these are very, very good check boxes you can think about. So in summary, great execution of a bad idea is still a waste of time, right? You may have amazing people, amazing team, a lot of money, but the idea itself is not very good. Then it's a waste of time, right? The whole 5-6 years you'll be working hard, and after that you'll realize it's a complete waste of resources, money, time, energy. It doesn't help. So it's important to realize that, right? Okay, let's talk about the next question, which is where to start a startup. Now, this depends, where you are. You can definitely start there, but let's talk about what are the few things which needs to happen. It could be in India, it could be anywhere else in the world. It could be in India. Where exactly? Which city? Which state? What circumstances? Let's talk about those dimensions. So one of those dimensions is ecosystem. The place needs to have some sort of vibrant startup ecosystem and industry hubs related to your business. It depends upon your business. It doesn't have to be like I hear Bangalore is the hub, where a lot of startups happen. It doesn't have to, because it depends upon your own business. What kind of business are you talking about, right? If you're talking about like some sort of revolution in clothing, or you are making some fiber out of jute, some invention there, then it doesn't have to be Bangalore, right? It could be, I don't know, Assam, Kolkata, or some other place, right? I don't know where all we have those things. Depending upon where things are, the revolution in agriculture, the revolution in different kind of things. So it requires that ecosystem. So think about it. Where do you have the ecosystem? You don't want to be isolated and doing something all alone where you don't have much support. Second point is access to talent. Now, depending upon what kind of talent pool you need, but you need to have access to a pool of skilled and relevant talent for your industry, the startup which you have founded, right? You need to have access to that talent. The market itself. Is the market more receptive, and do they offer specific advantages for your industry? Then that's the right place to be in. networking and collaboration, right? So this is about community of entrepreneurs, investors, and mentors. Do you have access to them nowadays? Of course, because of internet, we are able to seek help and mentorship from everywhere. So it's not geographically limited to you, but still good thing to consider. Cost of running business. This is another thing. Lower cost of living wherever it is, and the operating cost will also be lower. So it makes sense to start a business at a place where the cost of living is lower. That way, you'll be able to do more with the same amount of money. Right. One of the startups I mentor currently is based out of Guwahati, which is not a very big city, like not tier 1 city. So the cost of living, the labor cost, everything is little less. And then you put up a startup there and market in the entire world, you have bigger margins, right? Infrastructure in terms of resources like fast internet, high bandwidth is a must these days, right? So do you have that in your city, in your place? The road, the raw material, the whole infrastructure in terms of everything else, right, surrounding that. Do we have that? Transportation and everything. Government support. This is another one, like friendly regulations. Do we have grants or incentives or support programs for different startups? If you have that, you can take advantage of that. Scalability, again, allows for scalability and expansion as your business grows. Does your location allow that? Right? Is there a bigger scope in the same location? If it does, then it's a good place to be in. Culture fit. Cultural environment aligns with your business values and culture or not. If it doesn't, then you might face a lot of issues just to promote anything, right? So that's another factor. And competitive landscape. So if the place is already saturated with people, let's say if you open up some business which is locally, there are already 10 businesses which are capturing the market, and you are the 11th one. You're already sort of in a very highly competitive space, right? That is not going to help. So if it's not fully saturated, you still can come and disrupt it. So that's another thing. So in summary, the location may not satisfy all these conditions. So start when some critical ones are met. Start in that location. It's fine. It doesn't have to meet all of these. Cool. Let's move on to the next question, which is the meat of the question: how to start a startup. So how to start a startup, right? When you think about it, there are several things, and this by no means is very comprehensive, but I'm going to talk through 2 slides, all these topics a little bit more. What are the important things, and what are the sort of stages where you move on and start in starting a startup, right? The very first thing, obviously, is idea generation. If you don't have an idea, then, you don't have anything. Startup begins with the idea itself, right? So identifying the market needs and opportunities, right? And from there, you brainstorm and generate some ideas, right? And then you do all this evaluation. What is the best idea based on what we talked about earlier? You conduct market research to validate your idea. Let's say if you have an idea, you think about, oh, this is a problem a lot of people are facing. Let's try to solve it. But then you talk to a few people and nobody is interested in it, then it's not an idea, right? So we talked about that. Second thing, defining your value proposition. You have an idea, yes, but then can you craft a unique value proposition for your product or service solving the problem? Can you craft a message? Can you really define that, right? Defining your target audience and customer. Who are the customers for this particular idea, right? Define that. Third, define the business model, develop the business model itself, right? Exploring different business models like subscription model, will it be freemium, like free, and then after that some money, or e-commerce, or B2C, or B2B2C. What is your business model, right? Think about the revenue generation strategies. What different kind of revenue streams will be there for your company, right? That's very important. Prototyping and MVP development. So before you actually begin, you must make sure that there is a minimally viable product developed, right? Which you can market, which you can put it out there and seek validation. So it's very important to do that. Lean startup principles, you need to apply the agile development, iterative development, right? So for that, you need to have a prototype so that you can iterate and improve your idea with, right? So that's very important to think about. Legal structure and registration. So after you have done all these things, it's a good time to register your entity as a company. right? It can be a sole proprietorship or LLC or S corp or whatever the options are. In different countries there may be different options. Think about it, but register your business, complete the necessary legal and regulatory requirements. So now you have an entity, you have a website, probably you have legal things in place. After that comes building a strong team, right? Now that you have an entity, and these need not happen in the same sequence. So, some things can be a little ahead also, like building a strong team in terms of when you find your co-founders, right? That can happen any stage, doesn't matter. But recruiting co-founders and key team members, the early employees, are very, very critical for the company, right? Figuring out the team dynamics and communication, balancing skills and expertise within the team. You don't want to hire everybody with the same skills only, and you do require some other skills, right? That won't help. Even as a co-founder, you need to complement each other. If both of you are technology geeks, who will think about the business, right? So you want to have a balance. 2-3 co-founders, they all need to complement. Then funding strategies, right? How do you think about, do you want to bootstrap it, like, do it with your own money, or you want to seek external funding? What kind of external funding? Are you talking about angel investors seeking money from VCs, or crowdfunding, or family, friends, right? What is it? So it's very important. Crafting a compelling pitch for investors, right? That's another thing where you have the idea, but then the pitch deck is not very solid, and you'll face a lot of problems. So as an accelerator, our company also does help a lot of startups craft their message properly. The pitch deck is very solid. Then comes product development and launch, right? Choosing the right technology stack. If I talk about the software development piece, the product development methodologies, what would you use? How do you plan to execute a successful product launch, right? It can be any kind of product launch. So this page summary, like, don't let fear of unknown stop you. Some of these things you will figure out while building it, right? Not everything you have to figure out from day one, but think about all these things. These things are very important to think about, right? Next pieces of the how part is customer feedback and iteration. How do you iterate? Gather feedback from early customers to identify areas of improvement. I remember one of the startups where I was the early founding engineer there. There were 2 customers. They really said, we want to build the product with you. They became our partner. We offered the product at a very, very low price to them, but together we built the entire product end to end with them. And that was a great idea, right? So think about that. Marketing and branding, developing a marketing strategy and building a brand identity. How do you do that? Right? Online and offline marketing channels for startups. So marketing and branding is very, very important piece of the entire startup. And when you structure your business, also structure your early employees, different vice presidents of the company or different co-founders, they may take care of you. There may be a CEO, there may be a CTO taking care of technology. There may be a CFO talking about the financial thing. There may be a COO, which is operational, and they need not be the co-founders, but the sort of the heads. Think about that, right? There may be a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. So these things are important to carve out the areas and give it to one person responsible for building the entire team and doing it carefully. You as a CEO cannot do everything. And don't attempt to do that. It's very tough to be a solo co-founder, or at least even if you're a solo co-founder, try to recruit and put leadership in place to take care of these things, right? The whole financial management, tracking finances, where money is going, how is the money coming in from, having a robust financial management practice is very important, right? So adjust your financial plan based on your actual performance. How is it? How are we doing? Do we need to cut short on something? Do we need to expand on something? So financial management is very important. Customer acquisition and retention. Of course, the customers pay money to you. That's how you build the company. So what are your strategies for acquiring initial customers? What is your strategy to build customer loyalty and retaining them, right? Because they may lead to competition. So what is your strategy? It's very important to think about that. Then comes legal and regulatory compliance, right? Ensure that you are compliant. Regularly review and ensure compliance with relevant laws and regulation, the local laws and regulations, security compliance, right? So very important. The second thing is also thinking about the intellectual property through patents and trademarks and copyright. So protect your company also that way, right? Then comes long-term planning, scaling and growth. So develop a long-term vision formulate a long-term vision for your company. What will you do? What will you not do? Strategically think about it. Scaling operations and infrastructure. How will it scale, right? When we have only 1,000 orders. When we have 100,000 orders or 1 million orders, what will happen? How will we scale? Right? Plan for that growth. Continuous learning. Stay educated on the industry best practices, emerging technologies, and business trends. Now we are talking about the Gen AI and all these things, right? So you need to be in touch with them so that you understand how to apply. Invest in skills, like invest in developing your own skills and the skills of your team. So it has to be continuous learning, right? Innovate continuously, right? By adapting your business model and your the way you adapt. Like there was a company called Blockbuster here, which was into CD. They had movies in the CD and they would sell it, and that got completely disrupted by Netflix. Now you don't need to really do the CDs or videotapes. You can do that. And they did not pivot to this online streaming, and they are no more there at all. They are gone. So it's very important to watch out and continuously learn and innovate. Celebrate achievements, right? You are working hard. If you achieve some milestone, celebrate it, both big and small, doesn't matter. Recognize and motivate your team for their contributions. It's very important to do that. Otherwise, it becomes pretty boring, right? So summary of all this, what we talked about is founding a company and running it can be very stressful, right? It's a stressful journey. So build a mechanism to rejuvenate, de-stress, so that you can bring your A game every day. And, proper sleep, proper diet, some meditation, some exercise, these are very crucial in your journey. Otherwise, you'll feel burnt out, right? Okay. Let's talk about the ninth question, which was, now what? Startup failed. My startup really failed. What do I know now? Right? So it all comes down to reflecting and learning. Right? So reflect on what went wrong. What were the factors? Why did we fail? So do the retrospection. Identify the lessons learned. What can you learn? Right? Seek feedback. Talk to your customers. Hey, how could we do better? What were things which were wrong? Consult your mentors and advisors. Seek feedback, really. Embrace failure as a learning opportunity. So cultivate that growth mindset that, okay, this happened. I'm going to learn and do something else. But this is very important lesson. I'm glad that it happened. Right? Financial assessment. Understand the impact on your own personal and business finances. If you owe money to somebody, pay it off, right? Legal obligations. Address any legal requirements for closing or dissolving the business. Do that. There could be pivot opportunities, right? You could evaluate some elements of your startup can be pivoted or repurposed to another company. And I'm going to talk about one of the founder stories about this. Personal well-being. Take care of your personal health. Focus on the physical and mental well-being. It's so critical. Even if the startup failed, doesn't matter. Your life is still there. So want to make sure that you are healthy. Job transition. If you think that you want to get a job now that startup failed, you need to make some money. Maybe you want to get a job. That's fine. But last but not the least, consider a comeback. Right? Why am I telling this? If you are determined to continue as an entrepreneur, use your newfound knowledge and experience to make a more informed start. Why do I say that? Is a lot of times the second timers or the third time co-founders get funding very easily. Their probability of success is way higher. It doesn't matter if you succeeded or not. Some people are serial entrepreneurs. They keep founding companies, but some of their startups fail. Doesn't matter. The industry, everybody recognizes that when you fail, you actually learn a lot. When you succeed, you also learn. Absolutely. So any track record, if you're spent in the startup world, you have figured out a lot of things. At least you will not make the same mistakes again in this second time, right? So the high chances are higher. So consider that, right? Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill's talked about this, right? US president, former US president. So it's important to learn from failures. Okay, we are coming to the 10th question, which was, what's the eventuality? Right? When does it end? How does it end? So apart from the failure scenario we talked about, there are some very good options which can be a good outcome. Right? It doesn't have to be only one or two outcomes. There are several outcomes which can happen. One is sustainable and profitable business. And this is like your customers grew, you're generating good, solid revenue. It's a good thing coming in. It's a good outcome, right? So that's one outcome. Second outcome is you might get acquired by another company, right? Good financial exit. The founders can get a good financial, exit. Other people can get it. Merger. You may merge with another company, creating a larger entity. Fourth outcome could be IPO. Your company can go public, offering its shares on the stock market. Great exit and growth potential after that also, right? Fifth can be a lifestyle business, meaning, you achieve a level of success at a steady state and you just say, okay, no more ambitions. It's fine. It's giving me this much money. I'm fine. I'm happy. Right? That can be a good outcome too. Or you could pivot. You could shift your business model, product or target market and, change to another business model. Or you may spin off some part of your startup into a separate business entity. Or your technology can be sold, the intellectual property, the IP can be sold to another company. Or you may have a very niche market leader. You can become a niche market leader, like in a specific area, you can be the leader there. Or you may end up being a non-profit transition, like, okay, let's transition to a social impact, a non-profit organization. We're not looking for profits, but that gives me happiness. That's fine outcome too. Or you might come to partnerships, like strategic collaborations with larger companies where you add value like that, right? So summary is, if the journey was not enjoyable, the destination will not be worth it. Enjoy the journey while you're doing this also. I mean, you spend more time in journey than the destination, right? So important that you enjoy the journey as well. The outcomes can be very, very good also, right? We are pretty much coming to the end. Let's talk about some of the founder stories I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap up with the Q&A. So let's talk about this first story. So there's a company called Your Dost. This was founded by one of my junior from IIT Guwahati. She has a deep passion for this idea. This company is basically on the social empathy. One of her friend back in the day, I think 7-8 years back, that person passed away. They committed suicide. So she was pretty sad, and she thought we should impact the world, and she had this strong desire, and then she co-founded this company. I was helping her in the initial days. So she has a deep passion for the idea, right? And it has a huge social impact. She recently got recognized by the by our president of India as well a few weeks back. So it's amazing story. Right? Second story about a company called My3D Meta. This is a story about pivoting. So he's one of my friends' younger brother, from Guwahati. He's a single co-founder. He's a hustler, like very strong leadership. He figured thing out, going to different places, different countries, gathering funding and whatnot. They were into a business where it was not working out. So when I came in as an advisor to this company, I helped them pivot and repurpose what they had built. Now they are tracking to Series A. Very, very explosive business. So it's a very good use case. Third story. And it's not a great story about two startups. I'm not going to name the startups, obviously. So a lot of things were in place and going well, but there was a fight and strong disagreement among the founders, the co-founders, and the startup fell apart, valued at zero. Right? They filed Chapter 11, filed bankruptcy. They dissolved. The company dissolved. And very important lesson over there is relationships, alignment, consensus, resilience. Friendship, all these things matter. Understand each other, clarify the vision and everything among co-founders, each other very, very well. Write it down, right? All those things are super important, right? And last story is my story. I'm going to just quickly talk about which I initially talked about. I founded Techniche, which is not a company, but it is the technical festival of IIT Guwahati. I founded it 25 years back with my batchmates. I was an 18-year-old second-year students. What do I know, right? Because a lot of people in this call are students, so I just want to talk about this. I was present at the right time, at the right place, with the right intentions, right? If I would not do it, somebody else would have done it. But I had a strong dream that our IIT should also have a technical festival. It didn't have that time. It was a very, very hard thing to start something, right? It's very hard. I had to figure out a lot of things. Being in Guwahati, figuring out this is 25 years back, it's very tough. A lot of things were not even there. Internet was not even there so strongly, right? Now it's a massive phenomena. Over 50,000 participants from varied colleges, schools and institutions all across India, UAE, Bangladesh, and Singapore. They come and now, and I was amazed. And after 25 years, I was invited last year in September because it was a 25th Silver Jubilee edition. They invited me as a guest of honor. I was felicitated there. I was sitting besides the chief guest, which was the former Prime Minister of Israel. He was there. So it was amazing. It was very humbling. I was super humbled like to be there. But this is me, when I co-founded, I was building a robot and now I was getting felicitated there, right? So the impact of your ripple you can create can last decades. So start that ripple. That's my message. All right. I'm pretty much done. So what next? I'll leave you with this message. Number one, look inside. Know yourself. Find out about yourself. What is your strong desire? What drives you? Find your ikigai or your purpose. That will help you to figure out what you want to do, right? Look outside. Explore. Find a compelling problem you feel connected to. Explore the problem space, the market, the competition, find out the potential. Then look around. Your network. Your network is your net worth. Find co-founders, partners, advisors, investors, customers who can help you solve the problem together. They also believe in the same problem space. Okay. That is all. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'll open it for Q&A.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we should give him a... So if you have any question, please ask.
Thank you very much. I can say Dr. Dheeraj. Is it?
No, he's not doctor.
Okay.
I'm not doctor.
Thank you very much. It's really very informative. And sometimes we are also thinking about to start a startup, and we are in the process of patenting a couple of the techniques related to microbiology. But we always think that if we are engaged in startup, then how we can do our profession as a teacher, and then how to start that. So what do you think that we are in the position to start up, or we should wait at least at least 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. No, very good question. Very good question. So I think one of the ways, and thank you, Professor, for asking this question. So my view is this: wherever you are, if you think about just following these principles, like, okay, is there a problem space in the field of microbiology? And if you think that this is the space we should do something, I think you are at a maybe somewhat of an advantageous position, because you have students. There are people who are equally motivated also. So you can sort of float as a project from the starting, and then see if it really builds up to a substantial startup. Then you can spin off a startup. A lot of times we have to spend a lot of time in validating, will this work, this idea will work or not. And maybe you can float as a bachelor's project or a master's project or PhD project, and sort of help somebody and sort of validate. And if that works out, then maybe that's a good idea to branch off and start the startup too. I think that's I have seen in my IIT, some professors of mine have been doing that, thinking about it. So maybe you can consider that as an advantage also, if you think about it. Hope that helps.
So maybe now we request Dr. Akshay to give formal vote of thanks actually for this event. He is the CEO of, we have established this research foundation in our university. So he is hired as the CEO for this research foundation. Dr. Akshay.
Very nice.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this riveting talk. And before the vote of thanks, I just had a question for you.
Yeah.
Actually, I just wanted to have just you to throw some light on networking, sir. How important is networking for startups, and do you have some tips which you can share for this networking part, sir?
Excellent question, sir. So I think as I said, like your net work is your net worth these days, right? So I have seen a lot of people go to good schools or good colleges, good universities, may not be for the content of education. Like nowadays, I see MIT, Stanford, they record the videos and put it out there. And one of my friend was saying, hey, why do you go to any of these schools? You can get those lectures and study them by yourself. But I think an important point which they all miss is the part of networking. I'm telling you, 23 years back, right? 3 years back when I graduated from IIT, all my friends, all my classmates, I'm blessed to have that network. At least 30 or 40% of them are at, CEOs of companies. They have co-founded companies. They are at very, IS positions and whatnot. So my network is so strong right now. It is naturally so, but then I constantly build network with successful people, with smart people. And it's important because what's for startup, yes, for in general professional success, you need to network, keep networking and keep meeting interesting people. Like Dr. Somesh and I, we met like long back as just a quick acquaintance, but now some things can materialize. So it's important to keep networking. How can you do that? I think LinkedIn is a great professional network where you should have a profile if you are professional there and keep networking. Also, such kind of talks or such kind of interaction is where we learn from each other, and that is very important thing to keep doing. So network is super important to me, and keep doing that, because that is where let's say you have an idea and you meet somebody who understands the other piece which you may not have competency. Like I'm a good technologist, but maybe somebody is a good business person, and if I have a network, that person may say, hey, you know what, I don't understand technology. Why don't you join hands together and form a startup? And that can be a very successful startup. So very good, very important thing to keep networking.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I had just one another question, that how should a startup balance the need for growth and innovation with the need to stay financially compliant?
Yeah. This is a struggle which a lot of startups go through. Like they have some bucket of money which they want to invest in future R&D so that they can plan strategically. At the same time, to stay afloat, how do they pay their staff, pay their employees, and how do they really stay afloat? Right. That is a balance. A smart CEO can do that, and sometimes, because of this venture capitalist money, VC money and investors, they float in money. That is for exactly the same reason, that from the get-go, you may not have all the money to really market your product or pay your employees. And that is why what happens is VCs or investors give their money to give that cushion of 3-4 years where you can actually, don't worry about money. Why don't you build the product? Because I believe in you. Let's develop the product. When it reaches a level, then you don't need my money. You can give me 10 times the money to me, and that is what investors want. So that is a very good ecosystem. When you don't have that money coming in from customers as a revenue source, you can borrow money from investors and execute it. So it's a good balance. CEO's job is to create that balance, and it is not always easy, but it is prudent. It's very crucial to be able to balance. Otherwise, you may not have runway, and after that, nobody will give you money because you're already too much valued. And now you don't have money to pay to your employees and to do any marketing or to do any operations. That's a very sad state to be in. So balancing it out, I agree. It's very, very paramount.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Any other questions, sir? So let me formally thank Mr. Dhirendra Sinha. So first of all, I'm very grateful to be a part of this lifting talk and in this webinar, and I'm really grateful to you that you made yourself available for this talk, and this was a very informative talk for all of us and all the student fraternity also. And I will share this link with as many students as I can. And second, I am also thankful to Honorable Vice Chancellor who permitted us to hold this webinar. And then obviously Dr. Somesh, who arranged all this due to your acquaintance, and we had an opportunity to get in touch with you. And I am also thankful to all the faculty members present here, all the students and all the staff. And thank you one and all. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dhiren. Hope to see you here, bring you here sometime. Okay. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Great.
sure. What we can do is that we can put one proposal in India. So whenever you visit to that India, I can give the lecture like that.
Yeah, we can tie that.
Yeah.
There is a Gyan program actually from IIT Kharagpur, so we can put your name if you are interested.
So whenever you will visit India, then you can give lectures and we can cover your area in that also.
Sure, sure. No, it's my honor to be here today. I loved sharing what I could share today. But thanks for the opportunity. And next time, yes, I would love to visit your campus as well. Meet all of you in person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.